Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
When it comes to self-care, ginger can be used in more than just your diet. Try Ginger with 2 J's, a new all-natural ginger essential oil designed to help rejuvenate your mind and body. Ginger's special extraction process results in a higher purity ginger oil, and it comes pre-mixed with carrier oils, so it's always ready to use. Plus, the convenient dropper cap ensures you get the perfect amount every time. Get 20% off your first purchase today at jinjer.us/podcast. That's ginger.us/podcast.
Hey, and welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, an adulting advice podcast production. I'm Dani Sheriff, and this is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. Let's dive in. And guys, please remember that I am not a doctor and nothing on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always seek the advice of your physician. I have some exciting news. We have a sponsor for this episode. This is a huge step. Sponsorships in general are a huge step for making sure that podcasts can continue. So that's why I think you guys should be really excited as well. It means the HA podcast can continue to be produced and created, and I'm just super excited about it. But I just want you guys to know before I just throw a sponsor in here that we're starting really slow with sponsors. Recently, I got with my team member, Marissa, and we brainstormed what ways we want to be able to support you ladies that have HA and what sponsors would best align with that mission and what the whole show is trying to achieve. So I want the sponsors to be an added value for you guys and not just a weird product that's just sort of jammed in the middle of the show. So we're in no rush with that, and we're really taking our time to make sure we only bring on brands and products that I think will really benefit you guys directly, either during your HA or even after your HA. So you won't hear sponsors on every show. It's only when we really love them, really align with them. So to kick things off, this episode's sponsor is Green Chef. And I'm pumped to tell you why we chose Green Chef and how they're a great option if you're trying to recover from HA and you're wondering, what do I eat? So Green Chef is the first USDA certified organic meal kit company, and they make eating well super easy and it's affordable with plans that fit every lifestyle, including you guys. Just hear me out here. The reason we reached out to Green Chef to see if they would work with us is because two of the most common hang-ups or concerns that I get from women when they're trying to ensure that they're eating enough during this time is, I don't really enjoy or even know how to cook and tend to eat only the same few things over and over again, and concern that eating enough food in the day just is challenging. And one of the big reasons that I really wanted to go with Green Chef is because it's one thing for you to go and get all of your meals from McDonald's to ensure that you're hitting your calories, but as a community, we really don't talk enough about the quality and nutrient density of our food while we're trying to get our periods back. So I have been using the meal prep kits, and I would actually consider myself someone who does know how to cook. But as I was using these, I thought, yeah, this is exactly what my girls who say they can't cook need. Because here's the thing. Each recipe comes fully kitted out with the exact ingredients that you need, with super simple recipes to follow. Trust me. Usually if something has a recipe and it's more than 3 steps, I cannot be bothered because I know it's just more work to follow and I rather cook by vibe. But these ones are more 5 to 6 simple steps because so much of it's already done for you. And it occurred to me that if you think that you don't know how to cook, This is actually exactly where you should start. I learned to cook, and the best of the best will tell you the same thing, that you learn to cook by starting with simple and basic things, following basic instructions by someone who knows what they're doing. You're not just born knowing how to cook, you have to try. So you'll experience this with Green Chef. You'll walk away being like, oh, okay, I now know how to oven roast some chicken or how to cook shrimp properly. Like, you will learn some skills with these kits at the same time. And I am sure you'll learn everything from some cooking methods to like ideas for pairing ingredients. So it's super valuable for you girls who are turned off about cooking new types of meals. And when it comes to the concern of how do I know I'm eating enough? And that's something that Green Chef is great for. They send you a full balanced meal, and it always has a healthy serve of protein, carbs, and fat that I love. I love that there's always some kind of tasty sauce that I would never really think to add for myself. So it's like, it's fun. It's funner than cooking for yourself sometimes. So another thing I really like is that you get the exact amount of food that you need, which I mentioned before, but this is about waste reduction right now. Side note, I am obsessed with zero waste when it comes to food. I love to compost, and I try my very best to never throw anything out. So if you're a food waster, Green Chef is for you. Also, over the years, I've gotten meals from various meal prep companies, and the packaging is always insane. Cardboard boxes inside of cardboard boxes with ice packs and plastic wrap. Yes, Green Chef does have some packaging, but I love how it all comes with recycling instructions. And some of the packaging, they even supply return instructions. That's a huge win for me. And when the food arrived, it wasn't in copious amounts of plastic, foam, and cardboard. They really used the minimum amount needed to ship, which is awesome. Okay, coming back really quick to the nutrition conversation here. This is one of the main reasons I wanted Green Chef to sponsor the show. You do not need to only eat fast food and junk to get your period back. And those of us that believe in this will die on this hill. So many of us are not getting the variety and joy from our food that we need. We're just eating whatever. And that's also why we're in this situation. Yes, you can get your period back by eating a surplus of calories, but don't you also want to feel good? So, look, I love a good Whataburger as much as the next girl, but you have to get those veggies. You have to get those whole foods and quality proteins. That is why I'm pumped to offer this potential solution for you. So they also have vegan and vegetarian recipes. I know many of you are determined to stick with your plant-based. All good with me. And that also includes recipes for paleo and keto, which means, honestly, it just means like if you get to switch it up every single week. Because I know what you're thinking. Keto for hypothalamic amenorrhea? No, and I would agree. But I did get the keto box, and I added a side of rice to the Boom Boom shrimp bowl, and rice also to the creamy lemon chicken, and like a burger bun to the pork patties, and voila. Like, it's so easy to just add something to any of them. So you don't even have to worry about that. If those things aren't important to you, you can get just whatever sounds good. So if this sounds awesome to you guys, like it's really going to solve a situation for you, go to greenchef.com/HAP80 and use the code HAP80 and get $80 off your first order and free shipping. So you can try it out, save a ton of money on food, save a ton of time on cooking, and eat some really good stuff. It's a win-win because you got to eat anyways. So that's greenchef.com/HAP80 and use the code HAP80. Hey ladies, I am excited about this episode today. Nicky has just become one of my closest friends. I feel like I just wish I was living back in Australia so I could go hang out with her. We did an episode a few months ago now, back when she, in July. I recorded the episode. It came out more recently than that, but at the time of recording it, it was like June or July, and she was just in the depths of HA, and now her story has evolved quite a lot. I'm so pumped for you guys to hear this, and it's funny because at the end of that first episode, we said, you need to get to work so they can be a part two. Like, you're accountable to the listeners of this show. So she delivered, and I can't wait for you to listen to it. Before we dive in, guys, Ashley and I are taking a few more clients to head us into the new year. We have some open slots for January, so I would love it if you guys joined us. How it works is you work one-on-one with us. You have a call every single week for 1 hour. We coach through HA. We talk about how to move through some of the struggles that come with for all of us. We all have similar struggles, sticking to the protocol, getting through this and moving on with our lives, and really making sure that when we do recover, we stay recovered and that we have the skills to work through the future and make sure that we don't slip back into old habits. We don't get overwhelmed by our changing body, all that kind of thing. So what you can do is actually book a free 15-minute call with me, and I will actually chat with you, figure out if this is a good fit, and also figure out who the best coach is for you. Is it me or is it my co-coach Ashley? So head to coaching.thehasociety.com, read about it there, book that 15-minute call, and we'll see. And if you're not a fit for working with us, I have this directory that I have worked so hard to build of practitioners that I do recommend. So if working with a nutritionist, a functional nutritionist, a registered dietitian, or even a clinical therapist is the best thing for you, I have actually curated a list of people that I recommend and that I can personally introduce you to. So it's kind of a win-win-win if you really just want to figure out who the best person for you to work with is. That is where I shine. I consider myself a facilitator, a bringer together of people to have amazing conversations and move forward. And I want to do that just for you as well. So head over there, guys. The link will also be in the show notes. Otherwise, enjoy this episode with Nicky. And we're recording. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm very excited because we have, I guess, our first follow-up episode with someone that has already done an episode. So back on episode 15, Nicky Chapman told her story, and I had actually recorded that with her a few months ago. For somehow recorded 1 million episodes in a 3-week period. I totally burned myself out. It was wild. And then a bunch of the episodes just took a really long time to come out. So we had actually recorded that back in June, and this episode is coming out in December, but our first episode came out only in September or even early October. So actually a fair bit of time has passed between the first time that you guys heard from Nicky and now. So she's giving an update episode of what is that? June, July, August, September, October, 5 months?
5 months, yeah.
4 or 5 months later. Okay, so 4 or 5 months later, we welcome Nicky Chapman back to the show. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me back. I've been looking forward to this moment. About 4 to 5 months has passed now. Feels like forever. Kept going with all of the recovery journey. It has been a lot of good times and a hell of a lot of dark times and a lot of patience. But I essentially messaged Dani a couple of weeks ago and I said, I have something to tell you. I had to tell her she was one of the first people I told. I recently got some blood work back to check my hormone levels and that kind of thing, to see where I was going, how I was doing and everything. And the blood work came back and showed that I had ovulated. And I was like, okay, amazing. This means my period's a couple of weeks away. But instead, it's funny how it happened actually. got this blood work in preparation for an appointment that I had been on a wait list for to see a fertility specialist. I booked this in one of my times where I was like, stuff this, it doesn't work, I'm going to go on. But there was a 3-month waiting list anyway. And so I got this blood work done. I went to see this fertility specialist, paid $350 for her to basically tell me that, you know, she gave me a plan and everything for what I could do if I really start to get desperate and that kind of thing. But she said to me, yep, you've definitely ovulated. You'll get your period back. We're not doing anything right now. You will get your period back this weekend. Or I know. I just paid her so much money for her to tell me that.
Love it.
For it, or super blasé, or you're pregnant. And I was like, I'm like, okay. Like, I walk out of that appointment feeling like super motivated because she really did give me some good advice, but also just like, what? Like, you can't tell me that. So I stop into the supermarket on the way home, grab some pregnancy tests, got home, told Connor, I'm rattling off like to my partner, like the appointment details and everything like that. I'm still talking to him as I walk into the bathroom, and I'm like, just going to do a test. And 5 pregnancy tests later, and we're sitting on the floor and I'm pregnant.
5 tests.
That just took a while because I was just like, go and get me some more water.
No.
It's diluting the line's getting like more and more faded. But
oh my God, you're so crazy.
Yeah, it was so, and I was just like, we were both in shock. It was like the lamest way to announce.
You just went from like 0 to pregnant.
I didn't even get a period. It was like that week leading up, I was in tears to my mother-in-law, like, this is never going to happen. I'm never going to get pregnant. I'm never going to get my period back. I've been trying. I've gained all this weight. I've done everything I can, all of this sort of stuff. And then I finally ovulated, timed it right. Like, we had no idea. She's like, oh, if you had sex around this time, you might be pregnant. And I was like, well, I don't remember. Like, and that little miracle happened, and I did time it right. And I've heard of this happening. Like, my acupuncturist said to me, you know, if your egg's ready to go and stuff like that, you know, obviously you have to ovulate before you get your period, but just, it's so bizarre. I just completely skipped it.
You're just like, what are the chances that that's going to happen to me? Totally. And it's, how crazy is it that you had an appointment with a fertility specialist and you couldn't get in for 3 months? And that's exactly, like, the timing was exactly perfect.
It was just so uncanny how it all happened. Like, I really feel like it was a miracle, and just the timing was exactly the lesson. Because I always said to myself, and I have nothing against fertility treatment and everything like that, like, I was going to look at options. But I always said to myself, this was the lesson I needed to heal my body to get pregnant, because, like, I've had quite a heavy past with eating disorders and that kind of thing. And I knew in my heart I wanted to do it naturally to, like, prepare myself for, sorry, the cat's just
her cat keeps climbing up on her desk, and she literally just, like, picks it up and throws it over her shoulder.
she's a rag doll. She just, like, is so floppy. I just push her off.
Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Sorry to interrupt. I can't remember what I was saying. I always said I wanted to do it naturally. I want my body to feel safe, and I needed to learn this lesson. I truly believe I needed to learn this lesson. Lesson learned, and it paid off. Like, and I'm still in shock.
Yeah. What a wild thing to go through. And at first to feel like, why is all of this happening to me? Why don't I deserve to have the most perfect life and body and reproductive system, and why do I have to go through all of this rubbish? And I really feel like you are on the other side of this, like, chapter of this book of, like, the journey of motherhood, and you just have gotten so much more perspective. And, like, if the person you are, like, if you had gotten pregnant before without any of this happening, do you feel like you would just be a completely different person?
Definitely. My sister, obviously, like she was there when I was 15 dealing with anorexia, and then like after that, I've always had just, I would call it like orthorexic behavior tendencies, just like an obsession with exercise, an obsession with eating so healthy. And she always said to me, because she's got a 3-year-old, you're going to really struggle when you get pregnant. Like you know, and when you have a baby and you can't be on this schedule and all of this. And I used to say in my head, think in my head, I'm going to be like that pregnant woman running this, and I'm not going to give in to all of these stupid cravings, and I'm still going to eat real healthy. And I had all of this like expectation in my head that probably would have been really bad. Like, and you know, like maybe I always think maybe if I didn't learn any of these lessons, I would have had a newborn and I would have been so stressed out, and maybe stressed it out because I was so worried about wanting to go and fit in a workout. And it actually is really sad to think like that. But now I'm just like, and now with what I've had to learn and I've been forced to learn, there's no way in how like any of that would come before this. One, because of the journey I've had to go through to get to here, and two, because I just have such a deeper respect for my body and like and other things in life than just having to look a certain way now. It's just not the meaning I have about like the value I place on that is just nothing compared to what it used to be. And I definitely reckon it was a lesson that needed to be learned.
Yeah. Now you're going to be like just an amazing mother for yourself and for your whatever it is, boy, girl. We don't know yet, I assume.
Yeah.
But congrats.
Yeah.
I
It's
was
so
very excited.
like it's still early days, obviously, like, and I'm quite terrified. Like I need to just be patient, get to that safe mark and everything. But I think the hardest part's done now, and I feel like it's happened for a reason. Like I just need to keep doing what I'm doing in recovery. It's a really good practice for anybody that wants to get pregnant. It is such good practice for when you actually are pregnant. You're so fatigued. You can't override those cravings, like, and food aversions and that kind of thing. Like it is really good practice.
Yes. And I want to ask you more about that. Like, so we're going to backtrack soon, and I'm going to ask about some things in the lead up to getting pregnant, because people are going to be wondering, okay, so like, what did you do? But what are you planning on doing for while you're pregnant? So I know there's a couple of other girls in the HA Society as well, along with you, that are pregnant now. And the consensus seems to be like, we're not changing anything. Like from trying to get my period back to maintaining my period to getting pregnant and going through this pregnancy, I'm going to treat my body in this exact same way. Like, what are you thinking pregnancy is going to be like for you?
Yeah, literally the same. I was walking and doing yoga and stuff throughout my recovery. I found it really good for my mental health. I'm just going to keep doing that. If I'm not up to it, I'm not going to push myself by any means. And yeah, I'm going to keep my eating pretty much the same when I can. I just don't feel like eating anything but fruit and hot chips at the moment. So I'm just like listening to my body in that respect. And yeah, really just keeping it exactly the same. Like I'm not going to go and start stressing my body out. There's a lot of people say like your hormones are sort of fixed now. You can increase the exercise and stuff, and it's good for the baby and everything. And I do believe that, and I will keep working out the way that I have. I'm not going to start introducing high intensity and that sort of stuff. I just feel like it's a stupid risk to take, like personally.
Yeah. I mean, there's such a difference between like getting back into serious exercise mode and moving my body to stay moving and stay healthy and like flowing blood and all of the amazing benefits that exercise is supposed to have that we all just took a little too far.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Okay. Take me back a little bit to after we started. So when we were chatting on episode 15, you were doing all the things. Like it was great. You had stopped exercising intensely, you had started eating more, and it was really hard for you too, but you were doing the work. So after we stopped talking, pick us up there. Well, we kept talking, but after that episode, pick us up after there.
So yeah, I kept going. I had I was doing all the things. I was doing a lot of, like, there's a few controversial topics I just want to touch on, and like you put a disclaimer here, this is just my like, not advice, but my personal experience, because there's a lot of things that I really wanted to know in recovery, and a lot of things people talk about, like supplements and acupuncture and counting calories and all sorts of things. So in my recovery stage, I didn't count calories. I found that to be personally like a trigger. I think most of us that have HA have had a history of counting calories. We're pretty well aware of what is in a meal. You can roughly calculate it. I don't know. I can sort of know. I found that counting calories wasn't something that would work very well.
I don't hydrate like everyone else because I'm not everyone else. They drink what they're told to drink. I drink what helps me rehydrate and recover. Pedialyte Sport, because it works. And so do I. Pedialyte Sport. Hydration beyond the hype.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the resculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Well, to me, I basically just made sure I was eating consistently, including all the food groups into my diet, carbs massively.
Can you tell me, like, define consistently for you?
Consistent, like, so for example, previously I was that big, I mentioned it on the last podcast, I would pretty much like fast, just have coffee. Breakfast would be something silly, like just protein, and then like just graze throughout the day. I was a big snack person. I didn't have like your breakfast, lunch, snacks. I was terrible at that. And if I had like a brunch, for an example, like I would probably just have a protein bar and then go to dinner kind of thing. I wouldn't make sure I'd have. So consistency, by consistency, I mean like having a proper breakfast, a proper snack, a proper lunch, that kind of thing. Not counting calories or anything like that, but just looking at my meals and making sure that they have carbs, fat, protein, micronutrients, you know, and having a snack a couple of hours later. It doesn't matter if I'm not hungry. Don't just, you know, think that I don't deserve to eat or something like that. Like actually force myself to have a snack, and not use coffee as a appetite suppressant instead, which is another thing I used to do a lot. So yeah, just making sure that I'm eating enough and not having so many food rules. Like I cut out so many food groups. I never used to like let myself eat any sort of junk food or anything like that, or like very rarely anyway. So we'd do like, I told you about this, like we'd have Uber Eats on a Friday night and I'd let my partner just choose what we'd have, and I'd just have what, like similar to what he was having kind of thing, and just take the stress out of food and just eat like a bit more normally, like go out to a cafe and have something that's yum, not just the healthy option. And just not being so restrictive about it, like having that restrictive mindset around food was a massive thing.
Love it.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I had hijacked you to answer that question. So you had kept going, making sure you were eating consistently.
Yeah. I did. I was doing like a lot of, I did take supplements like the ALC and chasteberry, and I was doing acupuncture, seed cycling, that kind of thing. I'm into a lot of like the holistic sort of natural hormone balancing sort of type stuff, and like I got really into making recipes that were like really good for hormone balancing and sharing them on my page and stuff, just because like I think it's really important to make sure that you're having all of those, like that support. But I will say that it's not going to work by itself. Like all of that sort of stuff made me feel good. and all the rest of it. Like the supplements, I definitely think probably supported. That acupuncture helped me like calm my mind down. I used to find it the only thing that could get me to actually like chill out. And I was doing all of that sort of stuff because it made me feel good. And I think that sort of stuff, everybody sort of thinks, oh, that might work as like a quick fix, or that's all I have to do and I'll get my period back.
Yeah, like they go to that as their first line of defense.
Yeah. And it should be more like a supplements, you know. Acupuncture and all those sort of things are great. Seed cycling's amazing for hormone balancing and stuff, but it's not going to work on its own. And I think all of that sort of stuff helped me personally to like still have things to focus on and goals and little routines and that sort of stuff, because I think a lot of it really came down to the inner work. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well here. Eating properly and reducing your exercise is pretty easy. Like, it's not rocket science. That method, we know how to do that. But it's the other things like the inner work that I really had to do to push me through that for the last 4.5, 5 months, because there was a lot of times where it was just like I just wanted to completely give up. And
so let's talk about that. When you had to eat a meal when you said, even if I'm not hungry, I still eat a meal. Like, what, I don't know, dialogue did you have? What tactics did you do when you were having a bad day? What tactics did you do? Like, all of the stuff, all of the big struggles, like what helped you?
Unfortunately for my partner, I found a lot of the time I was starting at the start of it, I was bottling it up a lot. Like, so when I was by myself and I was doing that kind of thing, I just held on to it and I kept on going through my day. And I noticed that it was like in the weekends and when my partner was home, I would do the same sort of behaviors, but I'd break down and I'd just cry and I'd tell him like, I can't do this anymore. And I would really like vent and express myself emotionally to him. And then I realized like that's the point where I realized like I wasn't actually doing the inner work as such, because that was at the start of it. I would just like do it and push through and not really deal with it until I had someone there to like let it all out too, which is helpful. But we started talking about it and I was like, okay, I need to like do things when I'm by myself, and you know, when I'm feeling really upset or when I'm feeling like I just don't want to eat this food, or I want to go back to my old ways and that kind of thing. And I started doing things like, that's why I found that acupuncture really good. It was really like something that I went to once a week, that I'd feel like this really relaxing time to just get energy moving around my body and just chill out and get into a bit of a meditative state. That really helped because I couldn't meditate by myself. I journaled a lot.
Yes.
Sometimes I'd type, like sometimes I'd just write, and that kind of thing. I do it still every morning. Like I just go and write a whole lot of shit, just whatever's in my head, just get it out. There's just so much stuff. I found a lot of things like to replace old habits, like hobbies and ways to ways to express myself creatively and that kind of thing, to almost distract from it and find a new like purpose and a new routine. Because I think a lot of the inner work and stuff like that is A, about breaking your old routine, and B, about like getting to the root cause of why it stresses you out so much to have to eat more and move less and lose your identity and that kind of thing. And there was a lot of ways that I did it. Journaling was like a massive thing, and making sure that I was really like keeping the routine and replacing old habits with new habits and that kind of thing. So I still felt like I had like a purpose, but it wasn't to be completely like shredded and lean and super fit and have my whole identity wrapped up in the purpose of being this person that looked a certain way.
Yeah. I mean, tell me a little bit more about that, because that's a really big thing, and a lot of the people listening are still in the middle of that battle, and they really don't want that to be their identity anymore. They're also afraid of losing that as their identity. So what would you say to those people?
It's hard. Hey, like you're so conditioned to, and you put so much pressure on yourself to think, and that's the key word, that people expect you to look this way, or people like you because you look this way, and you're only good enough because you look this way. Like, no one cares. No one actually cares as much as you think they do. And, you know, like I get it. It feels great and stuff to feel fit and everything like that. But fit doesn't actually mean healthy. Like, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have lost our periods. And I think, finding your worth in something that's not the way that you look or your body size, and you know, finding other things that you're good at, whether it be, I don't know, baking or photography or drawing, like you like, just finding other things that you're good at besides looking the certain way. The more that you fill yourself up with that kind of thing, the more you realize, like, it's actually like not who I am. That's not the only thing that I've got. I don't know. It is a hard one, because I think a lot of us, like, we are conditioned to think that we have to look that way to be good enough, but you gotta get sure. Yeah.
This might be like a really intense thing to say, but when you were talking, it kind of came up for me. When we think people care about us and the way that we look more than they really do. And you said, it feels great to be like all fit and healthy. And there are times, I think there's times when it feels great. There's also times when it feels miserable, but the times when it feels great, it's like, what is it that feels great about it? And I think there's so much stuff wrapped up in that. And I think some of us wrap morals in that. Like, oh, can you hear that? My husband just decided to vacuum, so that's fine. There's morals wrapped up in that. Like, oh, because I did all of that stuff, like didn't eat this and went to the gym at 4 a.m. and blah, blah, like that means I'm good. I'm a good person. I'm what is expected of me. And, you know, have you ever stopped to think about how, like, well, why does that make you good? And I think as well, some of us feel like when my body looks this way, when I look this way, I am superior in some way. Like, I'm superior to other women.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Like, I've got all this discipline and I'm in control, and it's a control thing. It really
and like, I look better than you look.
Yeah.
Or something.
And it's horrible, because I actually feel like I look back a couple of years ago when I was in my corporate job, and everyone used to be like, oh, you're so fit, or she would never eat that, or are you going to go for a run after work, or like, I could never be like that. And I used to just be like, like, I thought it was so great. It's so not. Like, it really isn't. And I feel like I was it's kind of, and I really hate to say this, but it's really quite self-obsessed. Like, if you really think about it. Yes. And it was actually my partner that sort of explained this, when I really sat him down and told him how messed up I had my, like, eating and my exercise and my body image and all that sort of stuff actually was one day. He was actually the one that sort of brought it to light. Like, it is a little bit self-obsessed. Like, there's more to life than that. There really is. And I think the more that you, like, dive into recovery and do the inner work and figure out why you place so much value on that, the more that you actually see and understand it.
Yeah, doing this work helps really broaden your scope about what you're capable of impacting as well, I think. So I mean, this was my experience, but I got so caught up in how, like, I can only control my life and the things that I do and the way that I behave and look and blah, blah, blah. And through this process, I've discovered all these other ways that I can help other people. And by removing the pressure from myself to be perfect, I am actually accomplishing more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is wild, but
yeah,
true.
Yeah, and you look at how many people that you connect with and you like really get through to online, for an example, and a lot of people have no idea probably what you look like, because it doesn't matter, because you're giving them like hope with these images or with these stories that they're listening to and that kind of thing. When you think about it like that.
Yeah. If any of you listening have had someone come up to you and say, hey, I just want to thank you so much for having abs, because that has really impacted me and changed my life. And I just really appreciate how active and thin you are. If you've had that experience, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But you probably haven't. And anything that someone has come up to you and said like, hey, you've really changed my life, or anything that you can look at and say like, I really impacted that in a positive way. It probably had nothing to do with the way that you looked. It had everything to do with the way that you showed up for that person as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not your fault either. Like, it's not our fault that we thought that that's what we had. You know, like I say, it's like it's a bit self-obsessed and that kind of thing. And I'm more talking about like thinking back to future, like past me, and paying out myself. But I know that probably hits a little bit as well. And it's not our fault that we actually got like that. Or if you're going through this and you place a lot of value on your worth, a lot of value on the way that you look and that kind of thing. It's not your fault that you were conditioned to think like that either. It's just, you know, realizing, like moving forward and realizing that why that you do that, you know.
Yeah, we can say this stuff because we've been there. And I mean, we're still there. We're still going to have days where we're like, oh, wow, I am worthless for the way that I look. But we now have tools to get past that really quickly. And there is absolutely no judgment on people who have been through that, because we've been through that. And it was not our fault at all. It's just like, it's time to look forward now. Yeah.
It's so much better as well. Like, it's so much better when you do actually push through the pain and that, like, and all the yucky feelings of like everything you have to do to get through on the other side. Like, it is so much more fun to live when you don't care about it as much. Like, your life just gets so much more full.
You know, there is science to this, right? So when you'll be, when you're deep in the process at the very beginning, it's really hard because you're like, I'm 3 weeks into changing my life and this is really hard and I hate everything about it. And then you push through to the other side. You've done it more consistently for a bit and you've discovered things that you love to do now. You've been more social. You've gone and created some memories and experiences and all of the things that people tell you to go and do when you're going through HA. You've done a few of them now and you start to feel good. You start to release serotonin and feel endorphins and stuff because you're literally doing the things that you weren't letting yourself do before. And because you're releasing those hormones, you're kind of going like those are starting to build upon each other. And now you're in this cycle and eventually your self-perception starts to improve. Your general mood consistently starts to improve. You're giving your body the fuel it needs. You're giving it the experiences at once. You're starting to see that everything around you is freaking beautiful and life is awesome. You're waking up in the morning pumped because you're full of energy. And this is like creating a little ecosystem, it's all this momentum is feeding off each other. You just have to get through that sticking point.
It's so true. It's such a good way to look at it. You like build yourself up. Same with, it's exactly how like the weight gain seems so scary, but by the time that you actually notice that you're not going to put on weight like all this way overnight, by the time that you've done all that, what you just talked about, and then you get to the other side and then you've gained weight or whatever, like to get your body healthy.
You don't care.
You're ready for it. Yeah, you don't care as much. Like, yeah, you're a lot more ready for it, because the hardest part is just actually doing the things.
Yeah. And it's the same with the exercise. And I mean, you can tell me your experience here, and maybe it was different, but we are really afraid of giving up our sport or our exercise regime because we love it. We love the running and the stuff. But in the same way that we just described, when you get to the other side, you realize, I mean, you're at a spot where either A, you still really love the running and you're like so surprised because it's still there for you. Then you can eventually you can work that back into your life in a different way, and you're ready to do it in a way that's not going to get you back into the position that you were just in. Like you're ready mentally to make the change, or you have changed your life so much in such a positive way and you feel so great that you're actually like, oh, I see running differently now, and I'm not as interested in it in that way as I was before. And like, you're afraid of that result at the time when you're committing to this process. But when you get to that result, you're a different person and you don't feel that way anymore. And you kind of need to just be present in the moment, stop controlling what the future holds because you just don't know. Yeah. And worry about it when you get there. And you'll find that when you get there, you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you've changed enough, or like you're ready for it. Yeah. I'm so excited to, like, you know, after all of this and everything, like get into whatever exercise I feel like doing and just be like relaxed with it and just do it because I want to, like whatever that might be, you know. I don't want to, I'm excited for it to not be an obsession and just be like a cool thing that I do because it feels good. Like,
I know, that's why I'm so into tennis now. Like, because I always bring up tennis now, but I love it because it's so fun. It's like a game. And I remember at first I was like, tennis, what? No one's getting shredded playing tennis. But now I'm just like, I'm having the time of my life playing tennis. Yeah. It's a whole different perspective.
Yeah, you're moving because it feels good or it's fun or like.
Yeah, like I laugh my face off at least 3 times a session playing it. So like that's the best thing.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, cool. Well, I love it. I'm so pumped for you. It's going to be really weird now because you're going to have to wait an extra 9 months or more, and more, probably more than 9 months to actually ever see a period. So
I know. I'm just like, it's so weird to me still. I'm like, not that I like miss it. Like this is exactly the ideal situation, but I'm like, what the hell? Like it feels just, very surreal, but it is possible that this happens if your body's ready for it, you know?
Well, congratulations, Nicola. I'm so excited for you. I'm pumped that everyone got to hear this update and that this is happening right now. Is so cool, and that it's happening so soon after our last conversation. Where can people go and find more from you and chat to you and ask you questions if they have any?
Yeah, I think still my Instagram, probably the Wellness Antidote. Like last time I had a few people reach out, which was really nice.
Yay.
I love like hearing from girls that relate or have questions, because I think like I'm an absolute open book. Like I just will give it to you exactly how you need to hear it. If you have any like questions, because I know I did. I wanted to know everything, but I mean the biggest thing I'll say is like you just gotta try and enjoy the process. Hey, you can try and find out all the like tricks and tips and like everything, but your own journey is your own journey, and you've got to just try and enjoy the process as much as you can, because like, that's what it's about. Hey, like finding the joy in life again.
Yes, it turns out it's not about getting your period back. It's about getting your whole life back. And it's freaking wild.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Relationships and everything. Like even my sister said to me, she's like, I can't wait for you to come home to New Zealand. I was like, I'm just going to be so much funner to hang out with.
Yes. You've just become a really likable person.
Yeah, well, I'm not like, oh my God, I have to put a workout in, or like, can't eat this, you know?
Yeah, no, I've been there. Yeah, can't eat this.
so stupid. I was thinking the other day, I'd like done so much travel, like even to different countries and stuff, and I feel like I've ruined so many holidays and trips and everything like that because I've just been like, can't do this, got to do this. Yeah. I'm excited to live.
It's interesting. I mean, you can't look back at that. That was all an important part of being able to appreciate it in the future. You're just going to have to go back to those places.
Yeah, and live life fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Nikki. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go have a chat with her. I love it hearing when you guys hear a story on the podcast and then you go and find the person and talk to them. I think that's so cool. So keep doing that. I think it's the coolest thing. All right, guys, I'll see you all on another day on the internet. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
A lot of us are looking for ways to start our day feeling more joy and appreciation. And while some of us write gratitude lists or do yoga, others pour themselves a bowl of their favorite cereal, Honey Nut Cheerios. Because not only are Honey Nut Cheerios delicious, they can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet. So maybe the secret to a great mood all day is a little yoga, then writing your gratitude list over a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. Learn more about a heart-healthy lifestyle at Cheerios.com.